everybody. So, I am really a huge fan of different ghost stories and the paranormal in general. And today I was watching Loie Lane's recent video about other people, and she read about their experiences with ghosts or paranormal activity. So I thought it would be really cool to explain some of my own paranormal activity that I've witnessed and gone through. Um, so when I was about 11 or 12 years old, I lived in this house in Bradenton, Florida. And this house was absolutely beautiful. 2 stories, brick house, had pretty much the picturesque 2 story house, storybook 2 story house. Anyway, so the first scary instance was my little cousin was upstairs playing in my bedroom, and she said apparently when she was on one side of the room, a pillow out of nowhere just hit her, and she ran downstairs. And so that was one of the first little bitty instances. The second one, my aunt would never go upstairs to use the bathroom. She always had to use the downstairs bathroom. And she said there was just something about it that she just didn't like it. So if she did go upstairs to the upstairs bathroom, she would always have someone go with her. And she just said she didn't like the bathroom. So the next instance is my little sister, who was 3 years old at the time. Excuse me. She was 3 months old at the time. Anyway, she was really, really young. I can't remember age. But anyway, she was very young, and she, in the middle of the night, she would look up at her ceiling and she would point and say, "The ugly lady," or "the pretty lady." And Mom would ask her, "Where does the pretty lady look? Where's the pretty lady?" And my little sister would always point up. And for some reason, it was never, she would always cry whenever it was the ugly lady, but she would always laugh and giggle and, have a very fun time when it was the pretty lady. So that was one instance. Another instance was my little sister, again, was downstairs in the kitchen playing with a ball. And she would roll the ball and it would stop midway. It wouldn't follow through and go all the way to the end of the room and just stop. It would go about halfway, stop, like someone else was sitting right next to her, and roll back. My uncle was, talking to my father, and he said, "No, that's not true. That's not real." So my uncle decided to sit down on the floor and also decided to roll the ball. So he rolled the ball, figuring it was just an unlevel floor. So my uncle rolled the ball, and it completely just went all the way. It went all the way to the end of the room, and it stopped. It didn't come back. It didn't do anything. But when my dad set my little sister back down on the floor, my uncle gave her back the ball and said, "Okay, Amber, you can play." And she rolled the ball. And as she rolled the ball, the moment she rolled the ball, it stopped in the middle of the room as she had in the past. And then it went right back to her, which was very, very odd and very creepy. So another instance, another time, was my mother, my aunt, and my other aunt were doing dishes and laundry. The laundry room was completely adjacent to the kitchen, and if you walk through the kitchen, you have to walk through the kitchen to get to the laundry room. So my aunt and my mother were washing dishes one night, and take note that this is a two-story house that was sitting on top of a deck. um, so it was at least 8 foot off the ground, at least, give or take. And my mother and my aunt saw a man out of the reflection of the window above them as they were washing dishes, which could not have happened. And then after the reflection had gone away, my other aunt, who was outside doing laundry, walked into the room and asked, "Did you see that man?" My mother and my aunt said, "Yes, we saw that man." And it was very creepy. So then the next time, just very small instances, like my mother would always smell the perfume that her mother used to always wear. Um, and there were some times when we would get a smell of my grandfather, a strong smell of wood. Even though the flooring was wood, it would be a very fresh smelling wood. Um, and it would never be just in one certain area, it was usually all over the house. Another instance was my father was laying in bed one night, and father my mother went upstairs to check on my dad and to check on my little sister, and she said that over on the side of his bed where his nightstand would be, he saw a figure, or she saw a figure standing over him with her hands behind her back, just staring at my father. She quickly booked it, hauled ass out of the room, and went downstairs. The next time was a little alarming to all of us, but it's something that could be just stress. My father is a sleepwalker sometimes when he gets really stressed out. And he was sleepwalking, and he went into the bathroom, and for some reason he woke himself up staring at his reflection in the mirror and was very freaked out by that. And another time he had gone to the bathroom, and take note, this is on the second story, so he was looking outside of the window, and in the reflection of the window he saw what my little sister claimed to be the ugly lady. I'm getting goosebumps. Another time was when my aunt and uncle and their 3 children lived with us at the time. They were laying down in bed, getting ready for bed. It's bedtime. So my mom and dad are upstairs in their room getting ready to go to sleep. And a couple of hours later, my dad woke up hearing chairs moving around as if they were, being messed with and moved around and pulled in and out. And my dad asked my mom, why are they up so late? What are they doing? So then my dad went downstairs to check on what was going on, and all of the chairs were out. But my aunt, my uncle, and their 3 kids were completely asleep. There was no way that they could have just hurried up and got in bed or hurried up and got underneath the covers so my father couldn't see them. Another time I was outside with my cousins, and we were all having a family gathering, and there's a shed near the corner of there was a corner of our yard that the shed occupied, but there was a space between where the fence was and where the shed was. And when we would look over to the shed, on the left side closest to where the shed and the fence would meet, we always saw a shadow of a man standing there. Now, my aunt and my mom and my dad and everybody claims that it was my uncle, but we knew that it was not my uncle. So that was another time. Then my father was doing some sort of yard work, and he was making a koi pond for the backyard. And as he was doing this, he said the entire time he felt very uncomfortable. He felt like he was being watched the whole entire time. He felt like someone was standing right behind him, watching him do everything. And then he couldn't handle that anymore. So another time, my mother, my aunt, my other aunt, my cousin, and my father were all sitting around the dining room or the living room table, and they were playing with the Ouija board. Now, I'm not a fan of the Ouija board. I do not like the Ouija board. I do not recommend anyone play with the Ouija board at all. They were playing with the Ouija board, and they come up with the words fire. They came up with the words fire and break. And about two to 3 months later, my dad worked at Tropicana, and he slipped and fell right where the juicer would be. And when he fell, he could have broke his leg. So then the next time, one of our family members, their husband had a heart attack, and he said that it felt like he was on fire. And then another instance was, there was a couple of personal instances which I will not get into. You can message me if you'd like to hear more about them. It was very painful, very, very upsetting to know about these things. Another instance, my dog Zoe would always get locked in the bathroom upstairs. There was not a time when we would be downstairs or we would be upstairs and she wouldn't get locked in the room. She wouldn't get locked in the bathroom. But if we were downstairs and she was upstairs, she would get locked in the bathroom, and she would start barking, and we'd have to come upstairs and see what was wrong, and we would have to get her out of the bathroom. Another time, my uncle was house sitting for us, and he was doing some sort of, he was just house sitting for us, and it was, it had rained, but it wasn't, storming or anything like that outside. So he started hearing something, he started hearing crying, and he started hearing babies cry, and there was no babies around. It was just him and the dog. at the time. And he said he walked out of his room and just started hearing and seeing the doors upstairs all open and close, open and close, open and close, open and close. And this happened for about 15 minutes. And he hauled ass downstairs and stayed downstairs for the last couple of nights. Then finally, which this part is absolutely, I still get chills every time I talk about it. We had gone on vacation for I don't know how long. I don't remember the allotted time. But we were gone on vacation, and when we come back, I went to go to my room upstairs, and over my bed, where my head would have been, there was about, I would guess, probably a 3-foot piece, chunk of plywood and drywall that had fallen from the ceiling, and it landed right where my head would have been, and it would have crushed my head. Now, mind you, a couple of weeks before that, I wanted to change my room where my bed was. And my mother insisted that I didn't change where my bed was. She said she liked it where it was. Also, I would like to mention, I forgot this part. When I was cleaning my bedroom, and as I was cleaning, my closet door just became slightly ajar. It wasn't completely fully open. It wasn't, completely full, completely open at all. And it just opened a little bit and then closed. And I hauled ass, booked it downstairs, and told my mom and dad I wasn't cleaning my room. There's something upstairs in my bedroom. And of course, my mom and dad, being the brave mother and father they are, they said, "Oh, there's nothing upstairs." So they come upstairs to my bedroom, and they walked over to my closet, and my dad, being the brave man that he is, he grabbed the doorknob and went to go open it. And as he went to open it, he said something. He didn't know what it was, but something pulled the doorknob out of his hand and shut the door completely. Yeah. So all of this, and now mind you, all of this happened within a year span, and afterwards, after I had left that house, I kept having dreams about it. And even now, to this day, I still have dreams about that house. Lately, I've been having dreams about my sister's room, but instead of it being a purple color, which it now is because I have pictures of it, and I'll put them in the link below. It's a blue color, and I don't know what that signifies. If any of you know what blue stands for in a dream, please feel free to tell me in the comments below, or send me a DM, whichever one you feel more comfortable with. So yeah, I just thought you guys might like to know a little bit about my paranormal experiences, and I'm telling you, that house had a lot of them. And yeah. All right. Thank you.